Oi, all right, how's it going? I'm Grant, you're you, and this is the Doodle Review coming through with a new album to give a spin, chat some fraff about, and then assign an arbitrary score to. Today we're talking about this psych rock, garage rock gem by Meatbodies, Flora, Ocean, Tiger, Bloom. If you're into the OCs or Ty Segall, there's a very good chance you're going to love Meatbodies. In fact, Chad UBOVICH, the band's guitarist, vocalist and principal songwriter, actually started out as a member of Ty Segall's touring band. He then collaborated with Segall on their own project, the hard rock focused trio Fuzz, which features Charles Moothart on guitar, UBOVICH on bass and Segall on drums. And during the release and touring cycle for that band's first record, Segall encouraged UBOVICH to put down his many other ideas on a new project that he could front, and so in 2014 that's when Meatbodies was born. And their first self-titled record came out that same year, and it was a garage rock stomper, definitely feeling of a piece with the works of an artist like Ty Segall, but with less focus on maybe what I would call esoteric riffs. I don't know if that's maybe the right term, but I do find that because Segall puts out such a volume of work, you know, the riffs become, in some respects, sometimes very abstracted, sometimes very self-referential. This is just, you know, a lot of fun. It had some absolute bangers that go hard, like Disorder, Him, Gold, but also tracks like Mountain and Tremors that kind of indicated the band's abilities to expand and just go out there with it. UBOVICH moved straight from that into a new Fuzz album in 2015, which was Fuzz 2, but then returned back to Meatbodies in 2017 with the, according to my research, quite heady, quite conceptual Alice. Now, I missed that one. I didn't, for some reason, it didn't kind of come across my radar at the time, so I skipped it, and sometimes that happens, but I did get really into their follow-up 333 that came out in 2021. Apparently, you know, me doing the old Wikipedia in again, this came out of a recording for an album that was ultimately abandoned due to the pandemic. I don't know whether that is what we now have here, whether they kind of revisited it. But I really enjoyed 333. My favourite part about it was how it kind of paid tribute to so many different styles. There was a song called Reach Out for the Sun with two N's, which, you know, aptly titled because it was very kind of doomy, very sludgy. Let's Go 333 had like that whole glam guitar kind of T-Rex vibe, similar to what Ty Segall often goes for. And Eye Eraser just goes full Loveless era My Bloody Valentine, which, you know, is never going to go wrong in my books. And so while that wasn't original, it was just really fun, and it added like layers to their core garage rock sound. And I think that, you know, while the OCs and while Segall, you know, have a tendency to go weird with it, and that certainly serves them in terms of, you know, originality, this kind of referential element just made it fun. And I feel like it was kind of slept on. I feel like this band is a little slept on, especially among, you know, garage rock aficionados. I don't hear them mentioned, so hopefully that the tides turn on that and that changes. Flash forward a few years in then, and then March, a couple of months ago, they've returned with this album, Flora, Ocean, Tiger, Bloom. And because I enjoyed the references so much on 333, it was actually one of the first things that I looked for in this one, and I kind of went through and took note, just for my own kind of interest, really. And I was really gratified to hear that they kind of continued this reverence for the rock canon and continued to kind of bring that forth in their music with different pulls this time. So the nods that I heard this time is like, there's a song called Hole, which ironically gives me a Smashing Pumpkins kind of vibe in the chord progression. It's got this like ding 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 ding, like these little fills in between the chord progression, very Siamese dreamy. There's a track called Billow, which with the vocal effects has that kind of Perry Farrell, Jane's Addiction sort of vibe going for it. A song called Move, which is very krautrock, so like Neu, Can, maybe Kraftwerk. And then another one I don't know if this is an abbreviation for something. It's called ICNNVR2, which again gives a bit of that My Bloody Valentine's, but also kind of shifts it into a bit of a Stooges type vibe, which you never go wrong with the Stooges. And I think, you know, that's all well and good. Like, that probably wasn't the intention of this band to be someone that they go and like analyze to find like where their reference points are. From reading press releases, Chad UBOVICH, he was saying the point of this album was really to kind of be a bit more expansive and expressive and convey more feeling through these very mantra like repeating chord progressions. And you certainly feel this. There's like a lot of scope, a lot of breadth to this record, but I do think that it works both for and against the album. Where I enjoy the expansive approach would be a song like Move. You know, this song has a rolling bass line that opens it up. It's kind of fuzzy, it builds, there's drums are like quite restrained at first, and this is the one that gives me that kind of krautrock vibe, but it breaks out into a very cool kind of 60s garage rock riff section, which really makes it kind of justify its length. And there's also like quite an aggressive climax to this track, with a gritty vocal that we don't really hear at other points on the record. And there's another song called They Came Down. This is the one that definitely, if you're an OC's freak, if you're a Ty Segall fan, you'll be all over it. It's one that has like a very banana. And yeah, that definitely is OC's all over. You'll really enjoy it. So there are these longer, more expansive songs that justify their length, and they sound really cool. There are songs though that I struggle. The Assignment, I think, is the opening track. Whole, which I did mention I liked because of the whole Smashing Pumpkins, Billy Corgan kind of references, and then other tracks like Psychic Garden. They definitely all have things that I like. Like I said, Whole has that whole guitar chord progression, and Assignment has some really emotive chord changes. Psychic Garden has, as you'd imagine, very nice psych guitars, but all of these tracks, especially that Psychic Garden one, they just plod along at this very mid-tempo and kind of frustratingly slow pace. And it's the space that they operate in. Meatbodies have always kind of done this across the albums that I've listened to, even from their beginning one that had a bit more of a garage rock edge. They still had this element to them, and they do it well. But this record is an hour long, and it just kind of creates a fatigue over time, and also kind of masks what you might call some of the silent assassins on the record. They don't maybe get the chance to shine as much as I think they should, and these ones are actually the acoustic tracks. Silly Cybin, Criminal Minds. Silly Cybin is, you know, mixes things up early on in the track listing with that acoustic led guitar part of it. It does break out into fuzz guitars again, but it's just got a different vibe, and it is a repetitive chord progression, but the shorter runtime and the slightly more energetic drums and maybe more of a lightweight feel just make it breeze past. It's a lot of fun. Criminal Minds is a slower, phased out acoustic track, but it has some of the most memorable melodies to it. When I was putting together my playlist of all of the songs of kind of like the first 3 months of the year, Criminal Minds was the one I put on there from this record. I've linked that down below if you're interested in it. And it's fairly restrained, this one, but it's what it needed. There are really sweet harmonies, and melodically it's really strong. These songs feel lightweight, these acoustic tracks, against those sometimes quite dirging mid-tempo fuzz numbers. I don't know if this is the right reference, but I would maybe say that there's like a Kinks element to what they're doing there, just in the sense of that kind of 60s loose fun type feel without going too far into being twee, which sometimes music of that era kind of does. The final track, Gate, is a mix of everything, and it's sick. It's an acoustic led track. This one comes in with some like real atmospheric violins. It kind of comes in straight from off the tail of the last track, and then it has this like very nice arpeggiated chord sequence, gives you like expansive 60s 70s Led Zeppelin maybe type vibes. Like this is going to be an epic, you just know it straight away, it's going to be an epic just from how they're playing those chords. But then it gives way to some proper garage rock ripping riffs with heavier sections, lead guitars, and flourishes between each of these heavy chord strikes, which are really cool. And then there's like a great like central riff that keeps coming back round and makes for a really cool climax. So at the end of the day, this record's got a lot of variety, some really cool riffs, nice production. Again, really cool references to the rock music canon from all over the spectrum. But while I appreciate what they were going for, you know, making maybe a bit of an opus here, sometimes these expansive, more plodding songs just make the record drag, and like I say, take the shine off of some of the amazing work that really is here. I'm going to give this one a 6.7 and knock it on the head. That's just what I think though. What are you lot saying? If you've heard it, let me know in the comments. Like I said, if you're a Ty Segall fan, if you're an OCs fan, really encourage you to check this one out. You know, give me a write back. Let me know how I've done. And check out some other related videos down under my head. I'll put that playlist in there. I've put the review of Ty Segall's latest album. Check it out. If you can be asked to do all of that, then you may as well subscribe, right? Stick around, share some thoughts, show some love, or just howl some abuse at yours truly. And I'll see you in the next video. Cheers, mate. Bye.